Hello and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, where we help dads navigate through life during and after divorce and create an amazing life for themselves and their children. My name is Jude Sandoval. I'm your host. And today I've got a little bit of a special and different show for you. I think that you probably remember me continually mentioning and recommending to find somebody to talk to during this process of divorce and talk about what you're going through, whether that's a coach or a therapist or a friend, or in this case, and what I'm going to share with you today, which is our Divorce Dads group meeting that meets every other week. So what you're going to be hearing following is the meeting that we had this morning. We asked the gentleman if they would be willing to share with everybody out there the conversation that we do on a bi-weekly basis, and they all agreed. So it was an excellent conversation. We covered a lot of ground. We talked about a lot of specific issues as well, and talked also about some very vulnerable issues that one or more of us was going through. So I hope that you enjoy the show today, and I also hope that you'll take the time to try to connect with us in this group or a group that you might find that's nearby you as well. If you don't have the resources to talk to a therapist or hire a coach or that, this is a free resource that I have that's open to you. The link is in the show notes below, and I'd hope that you would join us sometime on one weekend. And we try to limit it to about 10 gentlemen, so that everybody gets an opportunity to share and really get something valuable out of it. But if it starts to grow, I'll open it on more dates and more time. So please reach out and connect. Also, if you need to talk, feel free to connect at thedivorcedadvocate.com and schedule a free session with me. I've got that link down in the show notes as well. And again, lastly, if you find some value in what you're listening to or watching today, please share a comment, like us, share with a friend, leave a review. It is all incredibly helpful to the show and helping other divorced dads out there as well. So thank you, enjoy, and talk to you soon. All right, let's go through and just introduce ourselves, share a little bit about where you're at in your divorce, how many kids you have, and perhaps a little bit about what you'd like to accomplish today in our group. If you got questions or specifics you'd like to bring up and talk about, to mention those as well. And let's see, I'm just gonna go right around from left and like in a circle. So Jesse, I'll start with you.
Okay, sorry guys. So my wife filed for divorce in the middle or towards the end of September last year. In terms of proceedings, we've only established temporary orders. We're kind of holding pattern before permanent orders. I'm looking to have a request for a CFI. So yeah, just waiting on that. We have 3 kids, 8-year-old or almost 9-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old son, and soon to be 4-year-old son. So yeah, they live there. We have a house in Castle Rock. The kids are there with their mother. I'm temporarily staying with my parents for the time being in Littleton. So I've been attending for a couple of months, probably the end of last year is when I started. So I just look to get advice from other guys that are ahead of me in the process, or just be aware of things that I'm not considering. So.
Jesse, did you want to talk about the PRE stuff a little bit later after introductions? Did you want to open that up to everybody?
Sure.
And chat about that? Okay, cool. I got that on the list then of stuff to talk about. Thank you. Steve, morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. My name's Steve. So divorce was final in September of 2020. Situation was, pretty much two ships passing in the night, probably the last 2 years. I'm actually great with the divorce. It was something that definitely needed to happen. I think 3 kids, 20-year-olds, actually almost 21-year-old son, 18-year-old son, and a 14-year-old daughter. It's a little bit of a unique situation in the sense that I just moved out here in June of 2020, and everyone was coming, and they decided, X decided not to move, so X and daughter are in Ohio. Oldest son is here, works for my company. I own a software company here, and my middle is moving out here to live with me in the next month or two. So it's a little bit of not something we agreed to, but just trying to work through it. Trying to figure out how to have a relationship with my daughter, 2,000 miles away. So wasn't expecting that. What I hope to get out of this is my first session. So I'm hoping for 2 things. I'm hoping to find some friends that are dealing with the same issue, have a beer with and shoot the shit with. And I'm looking for ideas on how to, have a better relationship with my daughter. My daughter does blame me for the divorce. So there's that issue, which, I know I've had a lot of counseling on that, and she's in counseling, and it's good. It's good that you're getting therapy and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, that relationship has been a little bit strained. So that's certainly hard for me, being my only daughter. So that's pretty much it.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Welcome. Jason.
Hey, Jason, I am in just about done in terms of the divorce process, which is great. Should be finalized March 19th. Everything's gone relatively smoothly on my end. I've got 2 kids, a 4.5-year-old girl and a 7.5-year-old boy. I'm 42, so I suppose I might be a little bit older for the age of my kids than some people, but overall kind of amicable divorce. She asked for the divorce, but I think to Steve's situation, there had been I think we'd both been working quite a bit for a number of years, and just together just couldn't figure it out. So I think the biggest difficulty that I've had is trying to reconcile the new life for my kids and the different family dynamic versus like the romantic. I think the romantic was a lot easier to let go because I had already been letting go of it for so long because I hadn't been providing some things. So so close to the end of the process. I feel pretty emotionally healthy about everything in general, worried about the kids, but staying pretty focused on their emotional stability, and definitely feel like I'm able to do that because I'm pretty emotionally healthy at this point. So always good to be in this venue, Jude.
Well, thanks for being back with us, Jason. And it's been great to listen to you talk about the process that you and your soon-to-be ex have gone through, because it's really been a great example on how to do it the best possible way how with the tools that you can, and be really conscientious of the kids. And that's a great credit to both of you. So excited that this is going to be happening for you next month.
Thanks.
That's cool. Good morning, Stefan.
Good morning. So I'm Stefan, and I've got 2 little boys, ages 3 and 4. Well, almost 5. He'll be 5 next week. And I have been divorced since July of 2020. And I guess, like I've said before, our divorce definitely was not amicable. There's nothing about amicability on her side. And so a couple things I kind of mentioned to Jude earlier is one, there's at least something that just came up recently that I probably should apologize to the ex, but there's also a part of me that feels like it's not even worth it. And then also there's something coming up next week concerning the kids' birthdays that were put into the parenting plan that at the time I just didn't, her and her lawyer put something into the schedule with the parenting plan, and I didn't argue it because I didn't want to die on the hill for it, and I just wanted to get the divorce. And I was like, well, it's not going to be that big of a deal, whatever. But now looking at it more closely and how it's going to affect my kids, I'm like, you know what, this probably is not going to be a good idea. And I tried talking to her about it, and she's just like, nope, we're just gonna do what we agreed to, and trying to figure out, you know, what's going to be best for the kids and how to go along with it. Because I really think that what she's wanting to do is going to be actually more disruptive than she's claiming. It's not. Like she's just ignoring that it's going to be disruptive, and just wondering how to deal with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Stefan. And I'm Jude. I have 3 daughters. They are 15, soon to be 13, and soon to be 11. And I've been divorced 8.5 years. And opposite of Jason, mine was probably a case study in like the most challenging way in which to go through things, and continues to be, because I am currently in court and currently going through the CFI process, Jesse, and have had a PRE done in the past too. So it's ongoing issues. Like you're talking about, Stefan, with arguing about every little thing at every little juncture. So, it just kind of depends on, who you are, who's on the other side of it, right? Negotiations are 2 ways. So you can only control your side, which is what I always keep trying to do. So let's see. That's a lot of great topics. Let's see. Let's start since Jesse, we started with you. Let's talk about that PR. You want to mention just to the group what you started to ask me and chat about with me just prior.
Can I what the hell's a PRE?
Oh, it's a parental responsibility evaluation, and the parties can request it during the divorce process. And CFI is a child and family investigator, and that can also be requested. A CFI is not as detailed as a PRE. A PRE goes into the details of mental, emotional, psychological analysis. They'll come and visit the homes. They'll talk to family members and friends and schools, and they'll do like it's a full scale investigation into the lives of both parents in order to make a recommendation as to what the parental responsibility should be. So,
got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, like Stefan, and maybe, I don't know, to the extent of Jude, my wife is not where it's not amicable. She's called it contentious, so she's called it what she thinks it is. When last August, when she told me that our marriage was over, and I wasn't in a good state to be in the house and work in the house, I packed my bag for a couple of days and I came up to my parents. Then she made it clear that I was not allowed to come back to the house. So we had made a decision or an agreement with the kids that, I would see them every other weekend, and I could have them for some evenings during the week. Then come to temporary orders in December. She really wasn't. She gave me one more night with the kids on the weekend. So originally my weekends comprised of Friday night and Saturday night, and then I had to have them back on Sunday by 12. She offered me to have Sunday night. I wanted more time with them during the week. So she offered Sunday night, so I took it. Kind of like Stefan, I wasn't willing to die, on the hill. I wanted to get what I could, and I got one more night for temporary orders. Since then, I've tried to have conversations with her regarding permanent orders outside of counsel, because I'm trying to save money for both of us. she's made it clear that the way it is right now is the way it should be. And if that calculates out, it's basically an 80-20 split. I don't agree with that, right? I get them 3 nights out of 14. That's not what's best for the kids. I don't feel that's what's best for the kids. So my lawyer said, well, the next step would be is to request a CFI. So that was our plan. And again, I've tried to have conversations with her. So when my lawyer had the conversation with her lawyer, my lawyer was getting the impression that her lawyer is going to request a PRE. It's interesting because right after the new year, her lawyer had already reached out to the court to set a date for our marriage. Now, if you had, I guess I don't understand how that would have been the case if they were thinking about doing a PRE, because that would obviously push it out and would delay that. So I was just, I don't understand. I don't know any beyond that. My lawyer didn't give me more explanation of why they are requesting a PRE, what justification they would have for a PRE. I've made it clear I don't think that's necessary, and I think a CFI is what needs to be done. So, and as Jude explained, so CFIs cap at like $2,700. PREs can be about 3 times that amount and take much, much longer. And so that's where I feel like it's a delay tactic in her realizing that I will be given more time.
Okay. So yeah. So Stefan, did you have a CFI or a PRE done?
Sorry about that. My brother I've got the boys over this week, and my brother just unexpectedly stopped by. So sorry about that.
Let's go. The babysitter stopped by.
right, exactly.
Here, brother. Here's the 2 of them. I'll talk to you in a half hour.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know he was coming over, so I was just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So sorry, what were you asking?
Jesse was talking about his ex
Right.
was getting is requesting a PRA, and I was curious. Did you have a PRE done?
No. So
okay.
My lawyer discussed getting a CFI, which in hindsight I almost feel like I should have, because I think there's some issues that should have been brought up. But no, we never went through with either the CFI or PRE. She threatened the CFI thinking that it was going to be more harmful to me, but I think she backed off because she realized she was going to be paying money and that it actually was going to probably work out worse for her.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So Jesse, the 70 and that it's about 10 grand to get the PRE done. So it's an insane amount of money, and it doesn't make sense to me why she'd be wanting to do that, except for maybe thinking like, she's, upping your bet about the CFI in some spiteful way in order to scare you. I don't know. Again, like I said in the beginning, all you can control is, your lane and what you're thinking. If you have no issue with it and there's not going to be any problems, then, it'll depend upon what the court says. The court doesn't think that it's necessary, because they're going to have to argue the case for it, and your attorney's going to argue the case that really doesn't make sense. There's no real, mental emotion issues, substance abuse issues, any real detailed issues that we really need to get into, other than not agreeing with the parenting time schedule, which a PRA would seem to be overkill in order to determine. So, dependent upon what you discuss with your attorney and how skilled he is in making that argument, the court may potentially deny it. So it's hard to say. The one thing I'll say, and I think you're doing the right thing, is trying to mitigate this outside of attorneys and courts, because once you get into the court, you just have no idea what they're going to come up with, and no idea what the judge or magistrate you're going to be dealing with is going to be thinking, or the day they're going to be having, or who you might remind them of, or whatever issue that's outside of the system that is going to impact what comes up. So yeah. And as far as the the setting the date, I think the attorneys really right now are just trying to set dates because everything is so ridiculously booked out, which I don't understand why. I think it would be more efficient doing this on Zoom calls and having everybody in and out of the court process. But apparently it makes things slower for the court process. So everything is so delays. We just got ours scheduled for July. So 6 months, our hearing for July for 6 months. And I filed this 2 years ago. So this is how long and how slow this stuff is just gotten pushed out and delayed. So so that might be why. But and to what you said, like, I don't feel this is right. This is beneficial for the kids, man. Stick to your guns. Yeah, stick to your guns. And keep showing up because we'll keep telling you to stick to your guns. All right.
I have a question because obviously my journey totally different, right, than a lot of what you guys have been dealing with, and it makes me wonder. And again, I've had the benefit of, I would say, a relationship that was predicated in general on like rational thought.
Mm-hmm. So that? I'm just. Can you define that for me? I don't experience a ton of that.
Because it just makes me wonder. Once you hire an attorney, is there like this predisposition or guidance from the attorney that you continue to try to just work everything through the attorney versus continuing to at least try to have an open dialogue with, the kid's parents? I'm just curious if like, did the attorneys just guide you to stop that dialogue?
Not in my case. I mean, I've still done it, and I've told my attorney, my counsel, that I still have conversations with her. I try to resolve things with her, and it always comes back to, I have to bring it up to my attorney. So she talks to her attorney, and then my wife talks to her attorney. It's like,
yeah,
you don't understand. I'm trying to have a conversation about paying a bill, and now you want me to have a conversation with my attorney, which means you're going to be paying more money.
Mm-hmm.
That's
how mine is too. So yeah, I'm just resolved to that fact at this point.
I didn't have that situation either. Again, I think my surprises have been, and I'm listening to you guys. We were married for 20. We got divorced a month before our 23rd wedding anniversary. I got married young, had kids young. But yeah, when we actually went through it without attorneys, and we agreed, we sat down and we talked, and we agreed to a bunch of things before, and then when we filed, we didn't file in the state of Colorado because that's not where we were living at the time, or I was living at the time. And when we filed, we messed up all the paperwork, so the judge was all pissed off and made us get an attorney. So we ended up getting an attorney, and I would say that's when things didn't get great, and I don't know. I kind of hear what Jason's saying. I'm not, saying attorneys are great. But at the same time, sometimes I think that puts people on the defense. I know it certainly put me on the defense when the attorneys get like, what are they going to do? Are they going to investigate and do all these things? And yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to kill her with kindness, to be perfectly candid with you, and just that, 'cause she triggers me and I trigger her. So the least amount that I could talk to her. And by the way, this was my best friend. Like, what I'm upset about, what I'm frustrated about, what I'm sad about is that, like, best friends for 25 years. I'm 45. How do you go from best friends to this, like, screw you, I don't want to talk to you? It's kind of weird. Like I said, it sounds like I've been married the longest out of everybody here. So yeah, I don't know. Right now I don't call her. I don't text her. I don't even communicate with her. And I just communicate directly with the kids and just remind my daughter that I love her. And again, therapist says, don't text her every day. So I text my daughter, which is killing me, by the way, killing me. I text my daughter once every 5 days. Cause she won't pick up the phone and answer my call, and I don't make her feel bad about that. So anyway, I don't even know what my point was. I think my point was just that I think attorneys put you on the defense. I think we're all in a shitty, unique situation with COVID, like you said. everything's pushed out. So I don't know about you guys. I'm impatient, and I just want to see my kids just like you guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Steve, you bring up a good point. And Jesse, I just wanted to say real quick, you are the coach of this process, right? This is kind of the way that I describe it to men is the attorney is one part of your team here. If this is if this group is another part of your team, the attorney's own part of your team. The attorneys don't run, they run the legal process of this, but there's so much more that goes into, like Steve's talking about, being able to communicate with the kids and having a relationship after with the kids and co-parenting after. So, the attorneys are one part, and we need to remember, and this was hard for me, and now so maybe after my fifth attorney, right, I've kind of figured out, like, okay, I'm the one that's like, I'm moving this process in the direction that I need and I want, so I need to remember to keep that in mind, because I'm actually the one paying the attorney bills, and some attorneys are receptive to that, some absolutely aren't. They got their process, they want to go through it, they know the system, this is it, and that's the way that they're going to run the show. So just try to keep that in mind too, that it's your it's your team, Jesse, and you're moving it in the direction that you want to move, and that attorney might be the quarterback, right, might be a really essential part of it, but it's not the quarterback doesn't run the team, the coach runs the team.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I'm the one that's making the decisions, not my lawyer. My scare, Steve, is that if I didn't have counsel right now, I would be out on the limb with nothing. I would, right? She would be saying, I'm taking everything and I have not recourse, but I have nothing. Like I would have, and I don't want to say control, but I would have nothing, right? Like, I mean, I pay for everything with the house, the kids, and, almost all the stuff. And I'm not asking for a lot. I'm asking for 50% of the time with my kids. And when they're older, I can see, you're right. Like I could text them directly. Again, they're young. I can't do that. So they don't have a phone. So I have to go through her, or I have to call the home phone. Those are the challenges that I'm having right now.
Well, and Jesse, what you're asking for is in the best interest of the kids. So it's what you're not asking for something out of the ordinary. You're not asking for something that's wrong. You're asking for something. And so that's the court's going to determine that. The court wants there to be, the best interest of the kids, and they want them to be, with the mother and the father as much as possible. So, you're in a good position. If she's denying that, or she's making that more difficult, that's not going to look good, whether it's a CFI investigation or if it's a PRE investigation or in front of the court. So
Jesse, I apologize. I wasn't I wasn't saying you shouldn't have an attorney or not. I was just saying sometimes it makes things contentious and makes things, it makes people lock up and just feel like they have, I mean, who wants to defend themselves? I mean, look, I just want to love my kids, and you just want to love the kids, and you just want to be with your kids, and attorneys get involved. And by the way, there's awesome attorneys. I'm not saying that attorneys either. I hear you. Yes, you're right. My kids are older. She has no rights to the boys. I have no rights to the boys. They're of legal age, and so I can just communicate with them. So you are correct. But she definitely, I feel like, weaponizes my daughter, and that's just shitty. It's like, come on. I mean, but I've seen it too many times. A lot of my friends are divorced, and same thing, spend tens of thousands of dollars, and then 3 years later, like, why did we do that? And so I don't know, there's got to be like this, like everybody grieves differently, and our exes are pissed off at us and we're pissed off at them. And this is, some people grieve with anger and frustration. Some grieve with finding somebody else to love fast, just to throw it in your face. And I mean, I don't have the answers. If I did, I wouldn't be on the call. So, it's just, I'm looking for, like-minded dudes that, again, want to support each other and help each other out. But yeah, I apologize. I didn't mean anything.
No apologies either. I was just explaining like where I've not, in the beginning, we were, just talking about it, but, and it wasn't, I didn't do it to arm myself or anything, but I had last year signed up for benefits through my work that provided some legal assistance. So then I was able to take advantage of that. And I was clearly upfront with her. I told her why I was doing it, that my benefits allowed me to have to pay for some time with my counsel, and then that I would be getting one. Then she takes that as me, arming myself with getting a lawyer. And then so she then says, well, now you have one, so I have to get one. Well, you don't. That's your choice. But I'm going with that. And so then, I just look at, in the case where I am right now, if I didn't have my lawyer, I wouldn't be able to do anything. She would be taking as much control as she can. Maybe it could be a different situation. Obviously, right? I don't know. But yeah, no reason to apologize. I just wanted to explain where I am, why I am, and what could be. And yeah, I completely understand. We're all in different situations with our kids. Some of us have older kids, some have younger kids. So yeah, I just like you, I want to spend time with my kids. And I feel the same way. She is manipulating my daughter, and trying to manipulate the boys too. And I'm not doing that. I'm trying not to do that. I want to spend time with them as much as I can. That's it.
So I will say this one thing, and actually my son taught me this. So my 18-year-old deals with mental health, and the divorce was tough on him. And I would say overall, my son is closer to me than my ex-wife. And he had just said to me, he's like, Dad, I just want to let you know, I really appreciate that you don't talk about Mom in a negative light. Sure. Like, he's like, actually gained way more respect for you. Like, she started dating and I'm pissed off at her. And I'm like, you know what, your mom deserves to be happy. I don't want her to be unhappy. And deep down I'm thinking, a little gut punch, whatever, but we all have to move on. Life's short. But I thought it was just some awesome advice from an 18-year-old, which again, maybe is common sense to everybody on the call, but your kids are younger. And I will tell you that, my 18-year-old, who's not super old, was just like, I appreciate that when I'm with you, it's just about you and me. And it's about, how I'm doing. And you talk to me about girls and for him, not me. And it's just kind of cool. It's just kind of like the good old days, and you don't talk about Mom. And if you do, it's in a positive light, which, sometimes I bite my tongue, but I thought that was good advice.
That stuff is empowering. For me, the ability to just focus on talking positively about memories with Mom, about what Mom's doing, Mom's building a house, Mom got me this, honestly, you take away the power of anger and emotional struggle when you walk right into it and you're like, your mom is awesome. Like she is a great mother and you're so lucky to have her, and you take away any power, negatively that she or the situation may have over you, regardless of how pissed off. And it's not like, although we are certainly amicable, I would say by and large, the amicability is about me agreeing. Right. She had a lot of control, right? She asked for the divorce. She set the term, we went through a mediator. She set a lot of the kind of things in motion. We were 50-50, but she then, further came after me for child support because I'm the higher earner. It certainly got contentious. So don't get me wrong, as it relates to amicability, I think a lot of that has to do with, patting myself on the back and navigating it. But my point in all of that is that you can navigate a lot of this anger and frustration by looking at her in a positive light as a parent and your co-parent as best you can, and taking away a lot of that power and that negative energy that fuels a lot of how we all kind of, can kind of start to operate negatively. And I get it. I'm sensitive to you guys' as exes are, I think, probably much different than mine. I didn't deal with a narcissist and all that. She had her own challenges, but that wasn't my journey. So I totally get that. But there is something to be said for just really trying to embrace this kind of attitude of
absolutely positivity. Because so I can speak to it being 8.5, almost 9 years down the road now, and seeing that. So mine were 6, 7, 5, and 3 when we got the divorce. But absolutely not talking badly about your ex. The kids don't miss anything. They figure it out. They know and they understand what's going. And so we think because they're young, they don't really feel, and might not consciously understand it when they're young, but eventually they consciously figure it out. In the meantime, it's like it's a feeling, right? And if you're positive, if you're not bad mouthing, I mean, that's like the worst thing, because the other part of it is they identify with both parents no matter what. And no matter how bad our actions might be or how badly they're behaving, they identify with both parents until they start to, create their own identities. And when they start doing that, then they start figuring out like, oh, well, who do I want to be like Steve, like you said, like your son's 18, he's coming into his, a young man, young adult. He's like, well, who do I want to be? Like, my dad has been really, really good. He's not ever badmouthed my mom. This is like an upstanding and really good thing. That's who I want to emulate, right? They start to figure this out, and then they start to emulate what they feel is the better thing. And that's what we want. Like as fathers, at least for me as father, like that's my goal, is when they, finally are out on their own. And to hear that story, Steve, just like makes me so happy to hear, right? Because like, then I know that I've done like through all of these struggles and how difficult and how whatever money and all that, that's like, that's my end goal, right? That they go on to be, in my case, fabulous young ladies and women and have a full life, right? That's the best thing that I could ever
and
want.
and healthier relationships.
Healthier relationships than we had, right? And it can be a learning tool. So what you just done, Steve, is absolutely amazing. It's truly amazing. Like it's a tool. It's something that you've taught your children that you could never have taught in any other way. So that's absolutely a huge credit to you.
I mean, I really appreciate that. I look at it. I think we have 12 kids between the 5 of us. I mean, 6 of our kids are going to get divorced, when they get married. So again, I'm not telling you what to do. And I would be pissed off too if my ex wasn't letting me see my kids 50% of the time, didn't agree. And so I'm not advocating, not fighting, but, I've come to the realization that my 14-year-old daughter who's mad at me, I'm losing time with her. And guys, I'm going to probably end up seeing her 30 days out of the year. And that sucks. It's the worst, but I'm going to make those damn 30 days the best 30 days I've ever had with her. And I'm going to remind her that I love her. And so when hopefully she's 21 and she gets married, she's like, you know what? My dad was always there for me. And by the way, if you don't think that's painful, that I'm going to lose the next 3-4 years with her, you're wrong. It's absolutely sucks. I'm like super sad, which is why I'm here. I'm sad, but at the end of the day, I keep going that kindness is going to win and people will figure it out. But yeah, again, I'm not advocating don't fight for what's yours or what's right.
So, yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry, Jude. I just, some of this kind of, I think started because it was like, me asking a question about, being able to kind of communicate without the attorneys. And I guess the whole reason I didn't get the initial commentary because there was an argument between my children, but, but, the reason I kind of asked the question was just really wondering, and it sounds like kind of Steve's trying to approach it this way too. And maybe we all are, but, you're going to have to, whether the spouse, the ex understands it or not, like we are going to have to continue to be somehow connected to each other for quite a while. And the younger, the more connected. And it just makes me wonder, it's the power of the power of the positive, the kindness element that Steve's talking about, just trying to kill her with kindness and an effort to try to continue. Like, I guess my question was really, do we kind of use the attorney and kind of give up on trying to communicate effectively with the other person outside of an attorney? And is that healthy? Is it helpful? And that was where the question was kind of going versus like, yeah, you definitely have to fight and advocate for yourself and for your kids for sure. But it was kind of in that vein. I just wondered, I didn't have an attorney, right? We went through mediation.
Well, I think it just all depends upon the situation and the other party that you're dealing with. Ideally, I'd love to have it be your way, Jason, but my situation's just not that. So,
Yeah.
and that was a struggle for me, really, for a long, long time. Like, why can't it be different? But all I can control is my side of the equation, right?
Yeah.
To stay positive. And as frustrating as that might be with the ex, I see the benefits and the gains in the positive impact that it's had with my daughters. So as long as I can keep that in my mind, so as frustrated as I ever get, I know I look at my daughters, I see my daughters, I spend time with them, I'm like, it's all right. It's all worth it.
Worth it. Yeah.
Absolutely fine. And that's just, can resign myself and resolve myself to what the situation is like. Steve, I had a quick question. What did you say that your therapist said only contact her, like only text her once every 5 days? What was it?
Yeah, she did. So look, I'm being vulnerable just like you guys. So like I'm here in Denver and they're in Ohio, and again, everyone was moving, and then all of a sudden, surprise, we're not moving. She's going to finish up high school in Ohio. So again, I'm going to miss every dance and all those things. And so I was like texting her every day. I love you. I miss you. How are you? And sending, the old memory pictures pop up, and I'd send it to her. Do you remember this? And I think this is like, oh my God, stop. Like, you're making her feel guilty, which is, there was just a lot of feelings coming up. And I will tell you, ever since, so she said once to twice a week. I've actually gone pretty much once every 5 or 6 days. I literally look at the text and say, how long has it been? And I look every day. And I will tell you, things have gotten a little better. She just finally started responding to my text messages. She's like, I do love you. You're my dad, and I will always love you. Which, a month ago, there were no text responses. And again, our situation was no one did anything wrong. No one cheated on anybody. It was, and I don't judge. I'm just saying, like, we just grew out of love after 25 years together. It was just, we were friends, and that was pretty much it. And, but as a therapist, I've been in group therapy, and I've been, a therapist by myself. Both have said that a 14-year-old girl is going to blame one of her parents, and it is typically the father. I mean, we get us dudes get a raw deal on most of these divorces, right? The mom is the caregiver primarily. Usually they get the child more. But yeah, that's what they suggested. I did that, and it's painful. I find it very difficult to keep my mind busy. I wonder every day what she's doing. I miss her, but I'm just trying to go with the 1 to 2 times a week and keep it short and sweet. And I don't send. They asked me not to send therapists like, don't send pictures anymore. So I don't send the pictures anymore either. So I look at the memories, I remember them, and I don't send them to her, which is hard.
What's interesting about that? I think this is a kind of interesting parallel, but hear me out for a second. In the context of dating, and really where I'm going here on the parallel is more kind of just really healthy relationships, right? Which would include, as your daughter becomes an adult, establishing a healthy, relationship. The interesting thing that I've kind of struggled with in dating is, and one of the things I struggled with in my marriage was this kind of idea of over responsible, and essentially it manifested into a little bit of kind of controlling dynamic. But my point in saying this is my therapist said something similar on the dating front, which was, you're interested in a particular relationship. In this case, your daughter, in my case, kind of dating. And I'm not super good at like waiting and allowing the other person the space to come back and engage in a conversation in a relationship. I had a tendency to kind of over pursue, I guess. So it's interesting that she started to kind of respond as you've backed off and given her that kind of space, because that's been very much my experience, actually, just in trying to establish, new romantic relationships, is just like give somebody the opportunity. You want to get to know them. You're really interested in them, but you got to give them a chance to kind of show up for you, to be part of the equation, versus you kind of drive the whole dynamic as a parent, actually. So again, a very loose kind of parallel, I think, in terms of what I'm seeing in the dating world, but I'm glad that it's like working out and she's starting to engage a little bit more. It just makes me wonder about like trying to give she's 14. This is different than like a 4-year-old. I totally get it. But
No, but you're right, because it's hilarious. Actually, I'm glad that you mentioned it, because I find myself over pursuing. I'm starting to date too, and I find myself over pursuing, and I think I scare them away. It's interesting you brought that up, so I'm going to try the same tactic on that too. I didn't even think about it.
it's super. There's a funny thing. I saw the word online somewhere. It's a funny creative urban definition called textpectation, which is like you text and then you're just like waiting for somebody to text you back.
Right.
And my therapist, has just advocated, listen, like you have a lot to offer. There's a lot of great things about you, but you've got to give people a chance to show up for you. Because that was also something that I struggled with, is over responsible manifested into a little bit of controlling. And then I'm not really getting what I want, right? My ex never could really show up for me the way I really wanted. In a healthy way, because I'm just over pursuing. And it is amazing. It absolutely has worked, at least in the context of dating. So it's been super healthy, and it makes me feel better because somebody actually gets a chance to kind of pursue me a little bit when I back off, which is exactly what I happen to have needed on the relationship front.
Right. Well, and also it's part of it is masculine and feminine, right? And that's going to translate to whether you're dating or whether you're communicating with your daughters as well. So that's a great insight, Jason, around that. Stefan, let's talk about the couple of things that you had here that you wanted to address. What was one was apologizing to the ex about something, and the other was the kids' birthdays and the parenting plan.
Yeah. So, gosh, I don't know which one bothers me more. So, well, for the apologizing one, so yesterday I picked up the boys, and she just did kind of what I call like a memory dump on me. She must be purging her things again, because she ended up finding like a bunch of things that to be honest, I didn't even know I realized I had at the house still. So it was just like all these like memories just like all at once just hit me, which yesterday too, the night before I had a really bad call night at the hospital. And so I was already tired coming into the situation, which did not help it. But so I was going through some stuff, and there's a book that I have, and this book in particular, I knew that like years ago, when we found out we were expecting our first, I had put an ultrasound of him in this book. And then I get this book and it's gone. And there's some other things in the book that I don't remember putting into it. So I'm like, okay, she took the ultrasound. And I did something stupid, and I kind of texted her, and I kind of thanked her for all the giving me back all the books, but at the same time accusing her of stealing it too. And then ended it with calling her a liar and hypocrite too. So not one of my greatest moments. So I feel awful about it, but I also know that it was where it was fueling from, that I was exhausted, and it was something that was emotionally charged. And, she may not have taken it. I might've misplaced it. But now I just feel like, an ass. And so just now wondering, like, should I even apologize? Is it even worth it? Or should I like just go on with it? Because if I try to apologize, I mean, it's not going to mean anything, but I mean, just maybe for my sanity.
It'll mean something for you, dude.
Yeah,
like it'll mean something for you. Don't do it for her. Do it for you.
That's true.
Totally agree.
So I'm thinking I'm just going to do that. Just send her a text. Just say, I was wrong. I apologize, and just kind of leave it at that. With the birthday thing, like I said, my oldest, he turns 5 next week, and she put in this parenting plan that every year it switches, but for each of the child's birthdays, but then like the parent gets both the kids for a birthday from 7 p.m. the night before to 7 p.m. the day of the birthday. And so like this next weekend, it's not my weekend with them. I get them on Sunday evenings to Tuesday mornings when it's not my weekend. and his birthday's on Monday. So I'm going to be picking them up at 5 p.m. on Sunday, and then she's going to pick them up at 7 p.m. on that Sunday to have them to 7 p.m. on Monday. My oldest is going to be in school all day, and then I'm going to pick them up again at 7 p.m. on Monday, only for her to pick them up at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. And I'm like, that is a lot of shuffling around. And I told her, I was like, I don't think this is good for the boys. I was like, if you just let the schedule be as it is, come September, I'm not going to expect to have both boys on a day that's not mine. Like, I'm just, whatever. That's just, you can have both the boys during his birthday, because it's going to mess them up in September now too. And so I tried explaining that to her, and she's, well, I want to see him on his birthday. I'm like, well, we can come to some compromise. Like, we can meet for dinner, or I'm not going to not allow you to have, FaceTime or whatever. So I don't know what to do about that one. I feel like, and she's being petty, but I'm like, no, like, and my oldest too, like he actually gets messed. Like, if you don't just follow the schedule, I mean, he actually gets really upset about it.
Yeah.
And I've tried pointing that out to her, and I'm like, this is not going to be good for him. And on top of it, so I'm going to have the day off on Monday, like I normally do. And I'm not going to have my youngest with me because he'll be with her when it's not even his birthday. And I'm just like, this just seems all pointless.
So I'm not a licensed professional, but I think
None of us are.
I think what you said. I think what you said actually made me think that, you know what, this isn't going to go well for him, right? Your son, like,
yeah.
So I'm not saying do it so it's not going to go well for your son, but I would be like, okay, fine. I'm going to do this so then she can see firsthand that this is not good for our kids, and so then maybe she'll come to her senses. I don't know. That's what I would do. I'm not saying that's the right decision. I'm not saying that's what you should do. You do you. But I'd be like, yeah, I know this is going to be a shit show for sure. But I'll follow along with her shit show and let her see that the kids are not, this is because if you're shuffling too, and it's going back and forth, so is she. And God, it's like, hope she comes to her senses that this was just stupid.
She makes everything difficult. And if she sets her mind on it being difficult, she even goes along with how difficult it's going to be just because she wants to prove a point or something. And I'm just like, this is
I get you.
Pointless.
Sucks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, it's obvious she doesn't have the kid's best interests in mind, but
I mean, should I even try mentioning it again, or should I just leave it as is?
do you feel that mentioning it again is going to have a different outcome than it did the last time?
Probably not.
There's your answer.
Yeah.
I mean, and is there any, I guess, listen, it's a super sensitive topic. And in my case, we're going to, the first one's coming in April, and we're going to do a celebration where we're both there in the day. So again, totally get my situation is different. The question I would ask, I guess, potentially is, they're young. The celebration of a birthday is arguably what you as dad make of it whenever it is, versus being myopic on the day.
Oh, and I'm totally on that exact same page. That's why for me, this is just ridiculous because like last September, I didn't have the kids with me because it was, her time with them. I wasn't expecting to have my kid on the actual exact day. Like, it was either the weekend before or the weekend after, whenever my weekend was, that I had some celebration for my kid. And I'll do that again for my oldest. But I'm like, for me, it doesn't, the day in and of itself doesn't matter. Like, as long as I have some sort of celebration with them, like I've already established that. But for her, for some reason, the actual day matters. And I'm like, I don't understand that, because when they get older, it's not going to matter.
Would it be much to offer her to have those 2 hours on Sunday and her to give up 2 hours on Monday? So then you are trying to focus on minimizing those transitions, but still having, somewhat of the comparable time.
I could probably try to swing that and just say, hey, like, why don't we do this? Like, I don't know, I can tell her I won't pick him up on Sunday, but then I'll just pick, before I pick the oldest one up from school, then we'll just make it school. I'll, pick up the youngest one at the same time or something. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I could maybe suggest something that's at least an alternative, but at the same time, like, maybe like Steve was saying, maybe just like be like, no, she needs to see how ridiculous this whole thing is.
It
All you
just
can do is
just
try.
didn't sound. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And by the way, she may not realize it's ridiculous for another few times.
Yeah.
There is that.
or ever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, or ever. I've got the extreme. I'm always here to give you the extreme devil's
Yes,
advocate,
you are.
my
I think
friends.
That's
Or
exactly.
ever.
I think that's based on what Stefan, like what you've described, just in terms of your overall experience. I totally get how that could work with some people, but it just doesn't sound like she might be that person where it would really resonate, and it just wouldn't come to fruition, her realizing that stuff. So I just wonder how to make it best for you and the kids.
Yeah.
But yours is still fresh. I mean, she's still grieving. You're still grieving. I mean,
Yeah, there's that too.
and everyone grieves differently. Like you said, you reacted the way you did because you were tired and all other things. And I totally agree with Jason. Apologize for you, not for her.
Yeah. And I'm definitely gonna do that. It just sucks because.
And she may, and by the way, she may send something back to you like, yeah, you're an ass or whatever, right? And just let it go. Don't even respond to it. Just realize, you know what? I apologize. I was triggered. I apologize. I'm good.
Yeah.
The clear conscience is that is a tangible thing. I mean, it really, it permeates, like a clear conscience, and this idea of like just taking control of the situation and doing it for you is very, like, it has tangible effects on your mental health, on how you just feel physically.
Mhm.
Like, it's just tiny little things, dude. I think I get it on the humble pie. I get that. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just like, it also stands to give you a lot of like good feels internally. You should pat yourself on the back by being the bigger fucking person.
Small wins. Small wins.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and doing the right thing, and then you keep doing the right thing, again, this is examples for your kids, right? And this might not be an exact example that they're going to see this, but they keep seeing dad do this, right? Like Steve's, is doing, the right thing. They keep seeing this. This is, they see this. This is what, this is what we as dads are, supposed to be doing. So that's great. And that's good. And then you feel good. Like these guys, like Jason said, that's important.
And speaking about that, just with like my relationship with the kids, like it's starting, I'm trying to watch what I say about their mom in front of them. And it's starting to get difficult because like I said, my oldest, he's kind of, I know he's picking up on things. I also know that, like, because he's already told me that he's like, Dad, you don't live with us anymore because you lied. And like, they'll flat out call me a liar. And I'm just like, and there's been a couple times where I'm just like, I just tell them, I kind of keep it more general than specific to their mom, but I'm just like, anyone who's telling you those things, don't be listening to anybody who says that about Dad. I try not to specify their mom, but I'm trying my best, but she's definitely teaching them something on her end that is now coming back to me too.
It won't work.
That's really hard. I know.
It won't work. It won't work.
No.
As much as she feels like she's getting some benefit from this, or turning the kids against you, or blaming this on you, and it's all obviously from some point of pain and like messed upness in her mind, it won't work, because eventually, they know, they see, they watch, they hear, they feel, they will figure this out as they get older. And I can tell you now, 8.5 years, 9 years down the road, like, mine is the other end of the spectrum. I've got to tell mine to be like, okay, you don't need to say that about your mom, or you don't need to talk like that about your mom. Look, there's a reason why. I don't know what it is, but and then I just say, that's just how she is. Okay. That's okay. And that's how she is. It's different than how I am. It's different than how I would prefer, but that's just how she is. So they will figure it out. It's painful, right? It sucks. And I still get it. Sometimes they come home. Now they just come home and they're like, yeah, she said this, or her boyfriend said this, or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, you know what the truth is. And if they ask me, I'm like, here's the truth.
Yeah, exactly. That's
like, what do you want to know? And like, now I can have the deeper conversations with them. Like, what do you want to know? And to whatever extent, it's perfect how you said that. Like, whoever's telling you that is not true.
Yeah,
and it's difficult with a 5 and a 3-year-old because the whole rationality is not quite there either.
Right.
But they feel it, Stefan. They feel it. I promise you, they feel it. And
they also feel like loving environment, dude.
Yeah.
And like, you cannot control that. You cannot feed into her insecurity and why that's happening, but you can totally control the dynamic when the boys are with you and what they feel from you and how you communicate with them. And I think that's the theme of what we talked about today. We control our own approach to everything, our own attitude, and we cultivate the relationships as best we can with the kids the way that we want them. And I think that's what we can control.
Yeah. And let me expand on that stuff, like, because it might not be as obvious as I might think it is for you, but like, you're handling how you did, like in a loving manner, like, hey, whoever's telling you that, that's not true, right? Calm, loving, very, short and concise, as opposed to, oh, your mom's a liar and that's not true, and she did this, da da da. Like, what is the feeling that they get from you when they're hearing that stuff from their mom and they come to you with it? Like, if they hear how you handled it, very well,
that's true, then
eventually that builds on itself and they keep hearing that. It just doesn't resonate, and then they hear the the energy behind their mom saying that you're a liar and all that. They feel that. They eventually comes to their consciousness and they figure it out and they understand it. Okay. So great job. I mean, really great job. That's phenomenal.
I'm trying.
I know we all are. It hurts, right? It hurts when you hear that from your 5-year-old, man. It's just, it's shitty and it sucks. And it's sad for them because their mom is destroying the relationship with them. Yeah. Because this eventually leads to, like, and not to share too much with my oldest and her mom's relationship is very poor, right? And so that's because of 8 years of some of this same stuff. She doesn't see it. She never has. She still doesn't see it. And I don't know that she will. I mean, I can't control it, but I'll promise you how you're handling it. And it's amazing. It's great. And it's in the best interest of your kids, and your boys are going to be better off for it. So as hard as it is, I just want you to know I support you in that. It's awesome. Very proud that you're able to do that as much as it hurt hearing that you handled it that way. That's a great job.
Thanks.
I know we're towards the end, but Jude, you bring up a great point. My 20-year-old said this to me. He's like, Dad, you can't control mom. You can't control what she's going to do, what she's going to say, how she's going to react. You only can control you and your actions. And again, I know they're 3 and 5, man. And, mine were 3 and 5 at one point too. And they are impressionable, and they might, just give them a good time, and don't try your hardest not to talk about mom. And when you do it in such a loving, positive manner, like, we're thrilled you're here. Mom and I love you both. And again, probably common sense things you're already doing. So probably not telling you anything, but when I realized, because I think most guys like control, and I don't mean control in a negative light, by the way. I just think, like, we're working our asses off. I mean, my ex didn't work, and I'm the contributor to the family financially, but once he said that to me, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, she's gonna, like, look, there were things I was saying I had no idea why they were triggering her, but they were, and I was like, I don't get it. But as soon as he said it to me, I'm just like, whatever. I'm just going to control. I'm talking to the kids the way I'm talking to the kids, and I'm not saying shit about mom. And whenever I do, it's positive, and hopefully everyone will come around. Again, I know all of our kids are at different points in their lives. Mine are a little bit older, but yeah, I mean, to Jude's point, his oldest doesn't have a great relationship. I mean, I don't wish my kids to have a bad relationship with my ex, but I do wish that they have an awesome relationship with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's all you can control.
Yeah.
That's all you can control.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so I want to make a final point. And part of this is their life path, right? that we don't have any control over. We don't know what they're supposed to learn and what they're supposed to learn from us being their parents, or what they're supposed to go through this. So, that was another realization for me. Like, I felt so guilty about not giving and having the life and the family anymore. But part of this and part of the lessons that they've learned, like Steve was Steve was mentioning about, there's no way I could have taught them or had them experience any of this to like go forth in their lives and, be able to utilize this stuff. So if you can kind of like reframe it sometimes in your mind, like, hey, this is their life path, and they're going to be learning, valuable tools going forward, like to have a better relationship than we may have had. And, and that's actually a good thing, as challenging as it is and as hard as it is. And like, I'm not happy with how it's happened, because it's like, I didn't want it this way, but it's actually a positive. It can help. Most definitely.
So,
thank you. Cool, guys. Hey, thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. Appreciate all your sharing. I'm proud, like, man, everything I've heard from every one of you today. I'm so proud of everything that you're doing. And every week or every other week when we get together, I look forward to hearing from y'all. So thanks for being here. Have a happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, right.
Share the love with your kids, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Shower them with some Valentine's love, and we'll chat with you in a couple weeks.
All
All right, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Be well.